everyone there. Welcome back to this new episode this day. Today we are going to see a new concept in finance, and we are going to see what you call the dead horse theory, and we are going to see how it influences our decision. So we're going to see the dead horse theory and your money. So this theory is very important. So that is why I started by saying today we are looking at a new concept in personal finance. We see how the implication that the dead horse theory has and how it can help us to be able to understand our personal finance. So have you ever felt stuck financially in one day or one time? So have you ever held a bad investment? Maybe you have ever invested in a bad investment, or in a failing business, or you had a financial strategy that got broken down just because you have already spent so much time and money on it. So that is a question that sometimes we hold bad investments. We keep on holding on a business that is almost dying. We keep on leaning on a financial strategy that is already broken, simply because we have spent too much time on it and we have spent a lot of time on it. So that might be what is called the beating dead horse. That is beating the dead horse. So today, my viewer, we are going to see what is the dead horse theory, how it is applied in personal finance, the warnings that you are holding on to a bad financial habit, and finally we are going to see how we can stop wasting our time and money on financial dead ends. So just stick around and let us go through the dead horse theory, and let us see how we can be able to save $1,000 and many years of frustration. So let's get started. So what is the dead horse theory? What is the dead horse theory? So so let us try to break it down so that we can understand what is it. And the dead horse theory comes from a very old saying that says, when you discover you are riding on a dead horse, the best strategy is to dismount. Which means, if something is no longer working, stop wasting your time. If something is no longer working, stop wasting time, effort, and resources trying to revive it. And this is where we go wrong. And that is why this dead horse theory is a very important concept in personal finance, in our investment, in our wealth creation, in our wealth management, in money management, in investment, in all financial strategy that we might have. The dead horse theory is very important because it is telling us if something is no longer working, stop wasting your time, your money, your resources in it. So where do we see this in real life? One is a company that keep funding a failing project instead of trying to cut the costs. A company trying to pump in more money in a project that is failing or it is falling apart, instead of that company trying to reduce the cost or cut the cost, reduce the expenses. Another one is a sports team sticking with a very terrible strategy, trying to win in the sports just because it worked in the past. Or in a relationship that no longer works, but people stay because of what you call the sunk cost. You have spent money and resources in that relationship. Therefore, you want to keep on holding in it. So, let's now talk about how this applies to our personal finance. And the second point that you're going to see is, are you beating a dead horse with your finance? Question mark. So are you beating a dead horse in your personal finance? So the worst financial mistake often happens when people refuse to let it go of a bad decision. So the very worst financial mistake that we make is when we keep holding and we refuse to let go of a bad decision. And these are some of the common dead horse in finance. These are some of the common dead horse in finance. One of them is holding on a bad investment. People keep on holding on bad investment even when it is falling. So you invested in stock, you invested in property that has lost 90% of its value, but you refuse to sell because you don't want to lose money, but you have already lost the money. So you are holding on a bad investment. And this is the reality check. You have already lost the money. It is time to move on. You have already lost the money, so it is the time to move on. And number 2 is keeping on a failing business alive. Trying to keep a business that is falling alive. So you keep on pouring money into a business that has never been profitable just because you started it. And this happens in the world of business, that people, because you started that business, you want to keep on pumping in money in that business, but it is not generating on a profit. So instead of accepting reality, you keep on taking loans and running into debts, which is very bad. So you keep on, instead of you accepting the reality that the business is not profitable, you close it down. You keep on taking loans and running into debt. So that is keeping a failing business alive. And number 3 is sticking to an outdated budget. So you are using the same financial plan from 5 years ago, the same budget that you had 5 years ago. You are still holding on it, but your life circumstances has changed. It is no longer the same. Things have changed. So you cannot keep on sticking on a very outdated budget, because automatically the life has changed, and therefore you cannot keep on holding on a budget that is outdated. You need to change it. So your income, your expenses, your goals have already evolved. Things have changed, but you refuse to adjust. You are refusing to adjust, and things have changed. And number 4 is paying off bad debts in a wrong way. Sometimes we don't know how to pay our bad debts, so we are paying our bad debts or paying our debts in the wrong way. So you keep on making minimum payments on high interest loan instead of using strategies like a snowball, and I have talked about that one in my other video. Instead of you using strategies like the snowball to clear them faster, you keep on making minimal payments, and the debt still remains there. And one of the major issue is people pays, and because your bank told you that you're supposed to clear your loan after 5 years. So after 5 years, you're very happy, you go to the bank and you say you want to clear your loan, but you realize you have another 3 years to go, or 4 years, because you have been making small payment. So we are not paying off debts in the right way. So number 5 is keeping an expensive lifestyle you cannot afford. So you are keeping a very expensive. You want to be seen to be living in a very expensive apartment, driving the best car, etc. So you're driving in a luxury car which you cannot afford, living in a house that you cannot be able to afford. You want to eat out every time. So that ends up eating up all your salary. Or you are trying to maintain a social life that is draining your wallet. You want to be associated with the people who have money, and they are not telling you how the strategies on how you can make money. So you keep on draining your wallet, you keep on draining your salary, and at the end of the day, you have no money. So instead of cutting back, you keep on trying to make it work. So instead of you just say enough is enough, and you stop that expensive lifestyle that you cannot afford, you keep on trying, just trying to see if it can work. But it cannot work because it is draining you. So if any of this sounds very familiar to you, then, and if there is any one of these that you are holding, then it means you are riding on a financial dead horse. You have now to wake up and try to see the best strategy that you can use to dismount from a dead horse. So the next point is point number 3. Why do you keep beating a dead horse? And this is also called the psychology of money mistakes. So there are several reasons why people keep on beating dead horse, and it is explained in a better way when we talk about the psychology of money. When you talk about the psychology of money, you are able to know why people keep on beating the dead horse. So why do people keep wasting time and money on a failing financial decision? So all this comes out of the psychology, our psychology. And there are 3 psychological traps that make us to be stuck in that. So there are 3 psychological traps that keep us stuck. So we have this trap these are the traps that keep us stuck. The psychological traps that keep us stuck. And one of them is what we call the sunk cost fallacy. This is a fallacy. And the fallacy is, I have already put so much money in it, so I can't not quit now. I have already spent my time, spent my money, my resources in it, so I cannot quit it now. That is a psychological fallacy that we have. That because you have invested a lot of money, you have invested a lot of time in that business, in that bad investment, in that property, you cannot quit. So the reality is this: holding on to a bad decision won't recover your losses. You won't recover. You keep on holding it. You will not recover. So the best move is to cut your losses and start afresh. So when you're moving out, you are reducing now your costs, and you move on. So that is the reality. Even if you have spent so much time, so many years investing in that business, but at times has come that it is no longer profitable, it is no longer making money. So what do? You quit. And number two, the psychological fallacy that we have is, number two is the fear of admitting a failure. So many of the people, they don't want to be considered as failure. They don't want to be seen by their peers, by their colleagues, that they have failed in their business, that they have failed in whatever they were doing. And therefore, if I quit now, people will think of that I have failed. You'd say, if I quit now, people will say that I have failed. Yes, it is not that you have failed, but if it is an investment, it has failed to work. The business has failed to work, so I quit. So the reality is this: true failure is staying in a losing situation. That is the reality. The true failure is where you stay in a losing situation, where you are losing. So smart people recognize when to quit, when to change, when to retreat and strategize. That is how the smart people work. And the other one, number three, the last one, is emotional attachment. Emotional attachment. But I love this business, car, stock, lifestyle, etc. That is the language we have outside there. That people will say, I love this lifestyle, I love this house, I love this car, I love these friends of mine, we move out, we enjoy, we celebrate, all of this one. Are you able to maintain that life? But the reality is this: financial success it is not about emotions. Those are your emotions because you are enjoying today. What about tomorrow? So financial success is not about emotion. It is about logic and numbers. So it is about logic and numbers. So it's about logic and numbers and not about emotions. So this emotional attachment is what we call the psychological effects that come up by continuing to keep a dead horse. So the sooner you recognize the dead horse, the sooner you can shift your energy to something that really works. So the sooner you recognize that you are riding on a dead horse, the better, or the sooner you can start and shift your energy to something that is going to work for you. So that takes us to point number 4, how to stop beating a dead horse and make a better financial decision. How to stop beating a dead horse and make a better financial decision. So we want to see a solution. So, right, now we have known the problem. So we have known where the problem is. And we have looked at some of the common dead horses in our finance and why we find ourselves in a such situation. So let's try to fix this. And how to stop wasting our money and our time on a failing financial habits. So we want to see how we can stop investing, putting our money, putting our time in a financial decision that is not going to be successful, in a business that is not going to be successful. And one of the solution is you have to acknowledge the reality. You have to acknowledge that it is not working. So take a step back and ask yourself, is this really working? Or am I just afraid to let it go? Is it this really working, or I'm just afraid of letting it go? So you must be brutally honest with yourself. You must be sincere. You must be intentional with yourself. You must brutally. The word that I'm using here is brutal. You must be brutally honest with yourself so that you are able now to acknowledge the reality that it is no longer working. It is the time now to move on to something else and let it go. And number 2 is cut your losses and move on. If an investment is falling, relocate your money into something better. Very important. if your investment is not working, you relocate that money to somewhere else where you can make more money. So if a business is draining your resources, consider selling off. Consider selling it off. If a business is not working, consider selling it off. And finally, we're trying to cut our losses and move on. If our budget is not working, sit back and revise it. If a business budget is not working, sit back and revise it, and you'll be trying to cut your losses and you'll be moving on. So that is all about point number 2, trying to cut our losses. And now we move to point number 3, that is make data-driven decisions, not emotions. Not emotions. You can see how where emotion can take us. When we were looking at the psychology of money mistakes, emotions can put us in problem. So you have to learn on how to deal with emotions. Remove emotion from your financial choices. Remove emotion. Make a decision based on the numbers, based on the information, based on the data. Analyze the data and decide logically. You have to decide logically. So you have to analyze the information, the data, how the reality is, and make a logical decision, so that you are not going to continue to ride on a dead horse. And number 4 is learn from your past mistakes. So we keep on making many mistakes, and those mistakes, those setbacks, those challenges, they are meant to make us learn and move on and make more better decisions. So every financial mistake is a lesson. And this is very important. Every financial mistake that you have made is a lesson. Use it to make better financial decisions in the future. But we don't do that. We keep on repeating the same mistake. We never sit back and reverse our mind on the bad financial decision that we made and see how we can learn from it and make a better decision today. So many millionaires and successful entrepreneurship lost money before, and today they have found success. Why? Because they have learned from their past mistakes and make better decisions today. Number 5 is seek professional advice. Sometimes it is important to seek professional advice on an investment, on a plan that you feel it is not working. So sometimes an outsider perspective can see the dead horse you are bride on. So sometimes a person who is outside your business, outside your investment, can be able to see and notice a dead horse, while you yourself who is inside, you cannot see it. So talk to a financial advisor, business coach, or a mentor before making big financial moves. So sometimes we make very big financial moves and we end up riding on a dead horse. So it is good to talk to somebody, talk to a financial advisor, talk to a business coach, talk to a mentor before making such big financial moves. Finally, our final mindset shift is this: your financial future depends on your ability to know when to hold on and when to walk away. That is the final thought. How we can shift our mind. I've called it the final mindset shift. Is for you to know that the financial future that you are trying to invest, that you are trying to do business, that you are trying to make wealth, so that you can have a better future and financial freedom years to come. It will depend on your ability to know when to hold and when to walk away. So thank you very much for you watching this episode. I appreciate. So if you're happy with what we have been discussing, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, and let us meet in the next episode. Thank you so much.